both heavily medicated and should not operate heavy machinery, but on none of the packages for the pills that we have been taking does it say do not record a podcast. So here we are.
Here we are.
Yes, we're giving it everything for you guys. You will get your news and updates. Don't you worry. We got you covered.
Welcome, everyone, to the Power Platform Boost podcast, your weekly source of news and updates from the world of the Power Platform and the Microsoft community with your host, Nick Dolman and Ulrikke.
Hi, Nick.
Hey, Ulrikke. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. A little sore, but all right. So
yeah. And I'm a bit, my voice isn't what it should be because I was out last night on the concert. And you are a bit sore in your shoulder.
Yeah. So I think I've re-injured my shoulder. I had a shoulder impingement. This is powerlifting stuff. Things were good. I was kind of given the green light to try lifting again, and I thought I did a lightweight and re-injured it. So that means I've dropped out of Worlds and Commonwealths, which I'm a little sad about, but they'll be there next year. But I can get my arm up to here today, which is already a big improvement. And I'm not walking around howling in pain like yesterday. There's a couple times it wasn't good. So
I'm so sad to hear it. So we're both heavily medicated and should not operate heavy machinery, but on none of the packages for the pills that we have been taking does it say do not record a podcast. So here we are.
Here we are.
Yes, we're giving it everything for you guys. You will get your news and updates. Don't you worry. We got you covered. The links that we go to for you. Okay,
Exactly.
So, and we do chat a little bit before we hit record every time. And then Nick was off on a rant. And then I said, stop, save it. I just want to record before you do. So now everyone, you're going to get that rant live and directly from the studio. No, I'm just joking.
Was it? Yes, well, it wasn't quite a rant. So anyways, one of the items that you added, and I saw it too, was the ability to quickly set icons for model-driven apps. This is by Riccardo Gregori. Now, he's created something called PACX, PACX, and I believe he was on the Xrm Toolcast a few months ago, and I found the link, and we'll give you the link to the PACX, what this all is. So, of course, Microsoft provides the PAC commands, the Power Platform application commands or command line tool. So we call it the PACX CLI. Of course, we use that in Power Pages to download our Power Pages to local workstation. There's a whole bunch of commands across the entire Dataverse and Power Platform. All good. He's created, it's not, at first I thought it was sort of an extension to PAC. It's not, it's its own thing, but it's called PACX, but it provides other commands that sort of the things that we wish we had in PAC. So things like create tables, update settings, some things like creating solutions and stuff, which I believe now comes in PAC. So I don't have the full breakdown of what's there, what's not there, but some of the things, for instance, like creating tables. To me, this is great because if we have to go create tables today, there's two ways to do it in Dataverse, there's multiple ways, there's multiple interfaces, but essentially we go into the Power Apps Studio, we go create table, we add all the columns and everything, or we go and we ask Copilot, hey, can you create us tables? The thing is with Copilot, it is getting better. Now we can actually do the multiple tables, it has that relationship diagram. So that's getting better, but it's still not quite, I would say, production ready yet. I'm still can go through. What this tool allowed, one of the commands that kind of caught my eye with PACX was the ability to run a command line to create tools. So if I can get ChatGPT to create a mermaid chart like I've done before, and I've demonstrated somewhere before, maybe talked about it here, I thought, ooh, this could be the next level. I can use a proper prompt, create my mermaid chart, do some manipulation there. And then my next step would be to create the PACX commands to create these tables for me all in one, so it's looking really cool. So anyways, I saw this link, and it's actually this morning. I thought, okay, this looks really cool. I'm going to dive into this. Went to install PACX. Following the instructions, started to run into some roadblocks. First roadblock, you need to install .NET on your computer if it's not already there. Now, if you've installed Visual Studio like Pro or Enterprise, that's all there. You're good. I just got a new laptop. I've not installed the full version of Visual Studio yet. My new laptop is also one of the new Snapdragon laptops, so it uses the ARM processor. So I had to install the specific .NET libraries for ARM processors as well. Okay, got past that hurdle. The next hurdle was, if you've used PACX CLI, to create an authentication, you go PAC auth, and you can create, and that will prompt you, and you're able to go through and connect to your particular Dataverse environment. You need to either know the environment or the URL, and it's a little technical but pretty straightforward. PACX requires you to have the full connection string. So getting the connection string put together, that's not hard, but now you're dealing with things like multi-factor authentication and other stuff. So it was giving me a few roadblocks. I looked in the GitHub, found the issue, saw other people had that problem. There was a bit of back and forth. So I got a little bit further to connect with my account. But then even then, trying to run some of the commands, I kind of hit another roadblock. It said auth type not allowed for this, couldn't connect to my Dataverse. So I was like, okay. So then I went back, used PACX CLI, created a service principal. And of course, that's actually pretty easy now. It's a straight command line. You get all the client secret, the app ID, and all this. Like, that's really amazing. Like, we talked about this before, just as opposed to going through those 10 steps, one PAC command, boom, you get it all. Got that, was able to get my connection string correct, was able to connect. And that's about as far as I got before we dove into starting to record here. So this is like come back next on our next episode. I'll probably be a lot further along, but these were just sort of, some of these tools are great, but sometimes we have to jump through a few little hoops. And this is, again, an opportunity for me to actually put some feedback onto the particular GitHub and some of the lessons that I've learned, share this with the community. Because if I'm running into these problems, chances are other folks are going to be running into these problems as well. So again, we're all learning sometimes. And I'm really excited to look further into these PACX commands, because already I have a few ideas floating in my head of how it can be and incorporate possibly AI or whatever to do these things that I want to do more efficiently as we're building our solutions in Power Platform, Dataverse, and all that wonderful stuff. So yeah. And so not really a rant, but more of a here's me trying to learn stuff. Still on a few pain medication to get ready for a podcast, because I was ready to come on here and like, this is this cool new thing, and it's like, now I'm saying I think it's a new cool thing, but come back later when I've gone a little bit further.
Yeah. And it's, and I think this goes for a lot of tooling as well, that you have your tool ready, and then it's the infrastructure around it. It's harder to get to. And once you have every tool set up, then everything's good to go. But then getting to that point now is, and I feel that with web development, especially with all the libraries and all the things you have to get the hello world, as we've talked about before, it takes you a while where it used to be so easy. But to kind of circle back to the tool that he actually made. I mean, first of all, it talks about the Xrm Toolbox iconator tool, which allow you to put icons for different tables and stuff in your model-driven app. And then also that he made, and he says that takes that thing down from 50 to 15 steps. So that's one thing, instead of going in manually and putting icons in all your things. And then having that command, the prerequisites is that you have a solution with your tables and your icons in them, and you follow a certain naming convention, and then it's one PACX command that kind of just ties all of that together. And that's pretty cool. So, I mean, get it up and running. This has so much potential, really does. So check that out.
we'll be back with further updates on this. And again, that goes back to when you're building a model driven app, don't have those puzzle pieces everywhere, because I know I had to put together a model driven app worked on something for ACDC, the Arctic Cloud Developer Challenge. Spent all this time trying to, like, in a rush, like kind of a gun to my head to get it all done. And then I showed it to our good friend Sarah Lagerquist, and the very first thing out of her mouth was, "We didn't update the icons."
Yeah.
Like, seriously. Anyway,
Beeps. Yes, no. Yeah, she has standards.
yes.
Yeah. We saw something else that was really cool also this week, the meeting cost calculator. That was so much fun. That was one of yours.
Yeah. So this is something.
Speaking about women with high standards.
So this is Christine Kolodetsky, and she wrote this, and she put this together, and I'm not sure if she's put it up on GitHub yet, but hopefully she will soon. But it's a cost calculator for Teams meetings, and I have been working for consulting companies for years and years, and I even said a few years ago, like, in some of these team meetings, it's like, if there's a way that we could see the cost of some of these meetings, we would probably prevent some of these meetings. And don't get me wrong, we need meetings. We need, like, the daily stand-ups in an agile project are important, as long as they're short and concise. And, we do definitely there's a need for meetings. But sometimes I know there's a lot of people that find, like, okay, I didn't get anything done today because I've been in this meeting all day. And some meetings are very... there's almost a meeting for the sake of having a meeting. And I'm very much, if you're going to have a meeting, let's make sure we have an agenda or a topic or something. I've heard that before. No agenda, no attenda. And I've seen this in big companies, like, we're going to have a meeting, but what are we going to talk about? Or we're just in a very high level abstract concept. It's like, well, okay, do I need to prepare for it or anything like that? So,
and then you have big meetings, like the architecture meeting that we are having, where there's 15 attendees, and it's 2 hours long, just to get a number on what that actually costs. I mean, it's one of the most important meetings that we have every week, because I think it's that important that all of the architects from different parts of this project comes together. But that meeting is very expensive. And it will be so cool to see how much that's actually worth at times.
Yeah, exactly. So what she's done is she built something within Teams, and it's pretty cool. It gives you a cost of what kind of a rough cost of what this meeting is, in terms of, it doesn't tap into actual salary data. I suppose that could be done but that opens up a whole can of worms in terms of security. But what she did was took the job titles and fed that into, I think, Glassdoor or Glass Tiger. That's a band. But a site that has sort of like rough industry standard salary information, and brought that back, factored in an hourly rate. So you can actually see in the upper corner what this meeting is going to cost. To me, if I'm as a business owner or a manager, if I see that, then it's like, okay, do we need all of these people in this meeting? Do we, or do we need to make this meeting so long? Or can this meeting simply just be an email or a regular Teams thread chat that it's asynchronous, that we can react to whatever? So again, don't want to get into the politics in terms of meetings, but I also understand meetings are expensive, and also they do sap a lot of good productivity time. We all need that. If I can get into building something, and I know I have a 4 or 5 hour stretch that I'm not interrupted by meetings or phone calls, or even if I have a meeting in between that really distracts my workflow. So again, if we can make teams better or make meetings better, and this is I think a great way. I know it was kind of fun, and I know there's probably some controversy with it, but I do like that concept. And Christine, yes, please post it on GitHub, because we will use it for sure.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Yeah. Very good. Also, so Andrew Butenko, he also posted something on LinkedIn. There wasn't really a blog post, just a LinkedIn post about how he now created a way for you to, with using a parameter in the URL, could make your Dataverse or your model-driven app dark mode. And that's really cool. And now he's also creating a button so that you have a toggle, a button up next to your avatar icon in your environment, where you can toggle dark mode off and on. So that's also something that I spotted this today.
Yeah, they talked about. I was on the comments, and there's some chatter about adding it to the level up tool that Natraj has created. Yeah. Level up that has God mode and all those things of creating dark mode. It's funny because I know some people are really gung ho in dark mode. I'm not, but it's a personal preference. For me, if I see dark background on white text, like Visual Studio for some reason doesn't bother me, but other things it kind of does. I prefer the other way around. But again, it's all personal preference, so it's cool.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's more of the developer way when you're in a dark room and you have a dark screen that makes sense. And also they claim that it saves battery time. So I don't know. Yeah, there you go.
Cool.
Also, this week I listened to the Low Code Approach. They had 2 guests on, John Landgrave and Chris Simmons, and something that I spotted that I wanted to share that I thought was very clever, because they talk. This is after build, and they talk a bit about governance and how to talk to customers and what customers are asking for and talking about in terms of governance and security and policy. And I'm not sure if it was John or Chris who said this, but he kind of divided the governance into 3 parts. It's the can and cannots, it's the may and may nots, and it's the should and should nots. So when the cannots, that's settings. And they talk about, I can't tell you how many times they say knobs and switches. I think they probably made a bet before they recorded that episode that they could say that 100 times at least. So I'm just maybe that's a good thing to do. Those parties where you have to drink a shot every time someone says something. You'd be completely hammered after that episode. But the can and cannots, that is settings in your environment. That is hard settings that where you can flip switches and twist knobs. The may and may nots, that are more like policies, right? It's one thing is the policy so you can actually make in the system. But there are also other kinds of policies that you can have for your company and for your workforce. And also the should and should nots is more of a best practice. This is the way we do things here. This is our way of doing it. And I really like that approach to thinking about governance, that you have those 3 layers, and if that is the way that you go about it, becomes very clear. Because you cannot have settings for everything. You cannot put that into the technology. Some of that has to be a human factor in the mix. So it was really nice chat between the 5 of them, because there are 3 hosts on the Low Code Approach, and really an episode that I recommend for anyone working with in the customer space and talking to customers in their daily job.
Cool. No, I'll check that out. I haven't heard that, but I think it could be an episode title, Knobs and Switches.
Knobs and switches, definitely.
Cool. So I saw something again on LinkedIn. It was simple Power Effects formulas every Power Apps developer should know. And it was a short little post, but I really liked it because it just gave a bit of a diagram in terms of the formulas you would use to position certain things within Power Canvas apps. Now, this can also be applied to the containers that are responsive and everything, because I found working a lot in custom pages lately, having worked in Canvas apps way back where you just sort of slap stuff on, and of course it doesn't scale well. It's not responsive. It's not accessible. But then, now using containers that will respond to the different sizes, but you still need to understand the formulas of how that button will move or where it should be placed. So I found this was a pretty good little resource to actually have some of these formulas kind of laid out and where things would appear. It was a quick little post. I know there were some comments about that, talking about, within responsive containers and all that other stuff, or flexible containers. But I think all of these concepts still apply. And it is something that I don't do a ton of Canvas app stuff, but that's probably when I do Canvas app stuff, that's where I probably spend a lot of extra time, is just getting where those buttons and the positioning and the little layouts and the containers and how it all contains and the screens and forms and everything like that. So found that to be a pretty good little resource there. So we'll put that link in the show notes as well, so you can check that out.
Yeah, and we'll accommodate it, because I found, I can't remember what angle I had on this, why I was in there, but I found a site that lists all the PowerFX commands that you can use, or the formula, the functions and everything. And also listed if it applies to Canvas apps and Power Pages and kind of which product this applies to. And it has a whole registry of all of it. Very good and easy to get an overview of everything. So we'll put a link to that as well. That's in the official documentation, because that was really handy. If I did a lot of work with PowerFX, I would make sure to have that open just to get a quick access to all of it.
Yeah, and I think especially if we continue to be working in Power Pages, what we saw in the release plan as well, more PowerFX is coming to Power Pages. So I know there was some like Nicholas Hayduke had some meme or something about PowerFX or Power Pages and Liquid and that kind of thing. And to me, PowerFX is a programming language as much as Liquid is. So, anyways, and I know Victor had some comments about, is Liquid dead? And that was another LinkedIn post. So I think tying back to the power effects of where you can use it, again, Power Pages is still very much preview. Not much can be done that's going to be coming. So that kind of reference, especially when you look at a Power Effects command, even like the low code plugins, there's certain Power Effects commands that can't be used in low code plugins. And I know I've struggled with that, going, why doesn't this stupid function work? Oh, no, it doesn't work in local plugins, but it will work in a Canvas app, it won't work in Power Pages yet. So that'd be definitely, I'm looking forward to seeing that reference, because I think as we get more and more deeper in Power Effects, like it or not, we're going to know, hopefully in the fullness of time, Power Effects will work across the board, but we're not there yet.
Definitely not yet, but it's good to have a reference like that to kind of keep on top of everything. Yeah. So that's all good. And also I saw something, and that's something that I'm working on at the moment. The Power Automate Cloudflow trigger that has when a record is selected.
Yes.
And it's been legacy and deprecated for, 5 years or something. Yes. It's really crazy. And I've been waiting for this to be replaced. And we actually talked about it in the episode a couple of episodes ago, when Amy Holden and I think it was Diana Bitkelbach, they did a few posts about how to trigger modal windows in a custom page, and because that doesn't work. So now it seems there is actually a new one coming, and it also it's not legacy, so they've finally been able to replace it, and it also comes with an input parameter. So now you can actually, you can choose, like you can when you have a manual trigger, you can choose and set different input parameters. So then when you trigger your flow from your model-driven app, you can check to select a row, and then you go up and you choose flow, and you run your flow. And the little modal that comes up, you can set your input parameter, and then you can choose to run the flow. So that is a major thing. And this is, just bulk updating, for instance, something, or just sending out invitations for something, or having one Power Automate flow, for instance, to send out emails for different audiences. You can simply just check them and send it out. So yeah, very good to see that being replaced. And also we'll put a link in the show notes, because I saw this from a blog post from Nudgic, which has a company blog post about this. So we'll post this in the show notes.
This is exciting because, that was sort of one of the last little holdouts. Like, why would you use the old Dataverse connectors? Like, because of this. But the fact that you can add parameters in, to me, when I saw that, like, oh, well, this is even better. Like, not only did you bring it up, but you improved it. So
finally, they actually proved something. Whoop, whoop.
So it's more of, you can kind of finally deprecate the old one, right? So I think that was part of it as well.
After how many years?
Yeah, exactly.
And you put something about certification renewals in here. Does that mean that you did yours, or did you?
No, it's funny because I haven't yet, because I have to. I have till August 18th, which is, I think, 2 weeks from now, pretty much, to do the first one. I think PL 200, and then I got to do PL 600 and 400 and 900. I think 100 is now those, I think, being replaced by those interactive ones. But you did your certification renewals like just recently as part of your summer holidays. So I just thought it'd be good to kind of revisit that, because I know most people, we talk about certifications, and of course I know a lot of people that get pretty wound up about getting these certifications and what it all means, and to do the renew, like, and okay, we have to go, and whether you do it at home or whether you go to a testing center. I'm a big fan of going to a testing center because I don't have to take all this crazy crap down in my office to, because you need to have that clean area. And thankfully there's a testing center literally like 10-minute drive from my house, so I can set that up. But the cool thing is what Microsoft introduced probably a year or two ago was when that particular exam, it used to be the exam, like it was like for CRM 4 or CRM 2013, it would eventually expire and you would have to go and write the new version for like CRM 2016 or as these new certifications came out. And the thing is, these certifications, as we know, things are changing constantly. So we need to actually update these certifications. So do we spend, I think it's like 125 US per exam. And of course you can get these 2-for-1 deals, or if you're an MCT, you get a discount, and all those types of things. But now what you can do is you just go for free, go into Microsoft Learn, and you're able to take like a subset of questions covering the new stuff and very quickly get your certification renewed for a whole other year. So you have to do this on a yearly basis. And as long as you don't let it expire, then you don't necessarily have to go back to the testing center, do the full exam. So, Ulrikke, your experience, can you tell the people how it went, what some of the challenges were, or was it a challenge at all?
Yeah, no, it was actually, I really like it because this is for me. So what I had to do is customer service and marketing. Sorry, I'm supposed to say customer insights. Yes. Naming, but I'll probably call it marketing until I die, but that's another thing. And so what has happened? So what they'll do is they'll give you a set of learning modules that is the difference between what you did last year. So they know that there's new stuff coming, and they actually also then add in the features that was added last year. So you show that you kept up with the product, and you get those learning materials. So what I did is I simply just went through all of the modules that they presented me with. I spent a couple of hours doing that, and then I went in and I took my exam. It was 26 questions, I think it was, just like the regular exam, but I don't have to be watched by some guy somewhere on camera, and I don't have to take everything down. So I could probably Google as I was doing the exam. Actually, didn't have time for it though. 45 minutes on 26 questions. It was just a matter of going through really. And then at the end, you get your result. And actually, the first one I failed. So then what do? Then you can actually just retake it, and then you can retake it a couple of more times once every 24 hours after that. But it also gives you a very specific scoreboard kind of view of what you were lacking in knowledge and where you were good in knowledge. So then I saw that, okay, I probably went through those modules a bit too quick. So I just read up on the stuff that I wasn't good enough in, and then I went back and took it, and then I passed. Cool. So it was a great experience, and it's so good to feel that you're now up to snuff on the newest things, right? Because these areas move so fast, and I haven't worked with marketing or customer service the last year. So for me, it was very good to kind of feel that, now I'm refreshed. Now I know what I need to know about this, going into customer meetings, for instance. So very good experience, I find.
Yeah, no, I think I know there's some debate of the value of certifications, but to me, the value of those certifications is, you've proven that you could actually, apply, that knowledge or apply that knowledge, but you're right, going into a customer meeting that you can actually speak intelligently on something or even get an awareness. Because, you know how it is in customer meetings. Someone says, oh, can we do X? And then immediately, if you're into that developer mindset, even with the Power Platform, like low code, you're like, oh, we could build something do. But then we're like, well, wait a minute. Something already exists in customer service. They have a full knowledge base, module, whatever. Maybe that's a better fit than, us building something from scratch, or at least we can compare. If we built something from scratch, we use the out of the box module, or even just sort of oh, well, how would I do this? Oh, I know I could do this in Power Automate, or I know there's a setting, or I know that there's this feature because that came up on an exam. So get your certs, folks, and keep them updated.
Yes, dude. And just for me, it's all about me knowing that I know everything. I want to go in there and know that no one can throw something at me that I've never heard of before, that I know all the different corners and all the little things that is to know about this product.
Yeah, of course. That's what we always strive to, right?
So next time we'll check in with you to see how you did, because you have yours to renew. Those are a bit harder to renew, though. I think it's a bit more news there.
The one I had a hard time last year was the PL 400. I think just because there's a lot there and a lot of stuff. Like I said, I haven't written a plugin in like 5 or 6 years, and of course there's new stuff there, and of course a lot of the Azure functions. So yeah, that's the one. But that one I don't have to renew till December, I think. So it's the other ones that are the more core, the 200 and the PL 600, that the ones that are coming up soon. So yeah, got to get on it before they expire, because yeah. Cool.
All right. And then we have a couple of events here just to wrap things up. I saw these in the Power Platform community newsletter, I think it was. I'll see if I can find a link to that. TechCon 365 and Power Platform Conference in DC in August 12th till 16th. So that's next week.
That's next week.
Yeah. So, and Copenhagen Developers Festival in Denmark, August 26th till 30th. That I didn't even know about. So that was a cool little new thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Developers Festival. Absolutely love the name. Copenhagen Developers Festival. That's something that I would love to go to. And then Power Platform Conference in Vegas, September 18th till 20th. And we're both going to be there.
Yes. And we have a full day workshop on Power Pages, the getting your pro pilot. So it's like, basically you're going to, depending what your experience level is, if you're just kind of new or you're a little bit more advanced, you're going to come in. This is going to be like a Top Gun Academy. You're going to be going in. We're going to be giving you lots of information, really exciting, really entertaining, to take you from, a new recruit to a pro pilot at the end, where you're going to get your wings and you're going to be able to soar using Power Pages. So
yeah, and this is coming from Victor Dantas, who's run 0 to Hero on Power Pages, 2 or 3 years. I can't remember how long he's been doing that. And Franco Musso has a new Power Pages course up. And you've been working in the space for 30 years. I mean, and I've been working with the product since Microsoft bought it. I mean, this is the powerhouse. So if you want to come and get ramped up on the Power Pages stuff, then this is definitely the workshop to come to.
Exactly. And then and also meet other people sitting beside you that are on the same learning path as you are, just to build that community and make new connections and make new networking and, help you move ahead. So yeah, definitely excited about that. So we're doing that in Vegas, and we're also kind of doing a version of that also at Nordic Summit as well, a week after.
Yeah, definitely. In Oslo, September 28th. And of course, we will do recaps from both Vegas and Nordic Summit, which we'll be at together. And we will see each other at Scottish Summit on October 18th. So that's really cool.
Yes, we're doing we're doing a live podcast. So we'll be doing an episode, but in front of a large audience. So if you ever wanted to be a part of the Power Platform Boost podcast, here's your opportunity to be part of the crowd and to be part of that. So we're not exactly sure how the format will be just yet, but it's going to be really exciting to do that. I mean, really
me too. And for a podcast, we have so many people reaching out to us asking if they can come on as guests, and we don't do guests. We're never going to be a podcast that do guests. It's kind of weird that we're inviting so many people to be part of a podcast episode. We'll have to do something fun about it for sure.
Exactly. It's all or nothing.
Our session is going to be directly after the keynote. So join us for news and updates, and also to be a part of this fun show. It's going to be a long show for sure, because we have 1.5 hours at our disposal. So it's going to be one of the short ones.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We'll fill that. No problem at all.
No problem. I hope we bring all your crazy hard questions and we'll answer them as best we can.
Yep. Cool. So looking forward to that.
Yeah.
And then I'm also doing a workshop in Prague in December, and not Power Pages this time, working with a person in the community, which I think everybody knows, Ulrikke Patsiev. And basically we're doing a workshop on model-driven apps. And so she reached out to me to say, hey, you want to team up on this? And of course, yeah, sure. This would be really cool. I love going to Prague, and I think this looks like a pretty big conference, pretty exciting, and a lot of other cool stuff happening there with other workshops and this. So check that out as well.
Power Conference 24. That's, I'm surprised I didn't haven't heard about it before. But yeah, these new ones keep popping up. It's so much fun to see them pop
I think
up
they had
all
their
over the
first
place.
one last year, from my understanding. And they, like, even Ryan Cunningham was there as the keynote. So they'll probably have another pretty big keynote there as well. But yeah, like a lot of these things are kind of popping up, like full conference season, plenty of opportunities to go to a conference that's probably not far off from where you live or are either. So you don't necessarily have to travel to the other side of the world to get all ramped up and all the great Power Platform content that's out there.
Yeah, so true. Right. I think that's where we wrap up for today's episode. Next episode will be August 21st. And then we're off to conference season. So this is going to be a race. This fall is going to be so much fun. So much traveling. I can't wait.
Exactly.
Right.
Cool.
Okay. I'll catch you later. Have fun.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening. And if you like this episode, please make sure to share it with your friends and colleagues in the community. Make sure to leave a rating and review of your favorite streaming service, and makes it easier for others to find us. Follow us on the social media platforms and make sure you don't miss an episode. Thanks for listening to the Power Platform Boost podcast with your hosts, Ulrikke Åkerbeck and Nick Dolman, and see you next time for your timely boost of Power Platform news.